and I think that it's related to the dreams that he's having, you know, the gutted car and things like that. You know, I did have, if you want to go over your dream, I did write some more things down about it.
Yeah, the dream with the little paperclip lady.
Yes, right.
Yeah, I'm curious on.
Yeah,
on
all right. Well,
that.
I'm kind of I've gotten a little bit of a wraparound on it. Okay, we'll just see. Okay, so first, you know, and good evening, Dawn. I hope you're having a good evening. Okay, we start out, I'll put it in the chat too here. Put it in the chat. There we go. Copy. I'll probably have to put it in the chat more than once, but at least we'll have it in here to read along with. All right, there we go. Okay, and let's see, we got the ice cream bar. Okay, and I'll just put this last part in here. Because, you know, you don't focus on the mundane aspects of the objects in the dream. I try to describe it as if it was a fairy tale, you know, not as a just mundane objects, because this is pretty mythical. You know? Well, it starts out that we're sitting on a couch in the living room of the unknown house. Okay. So we're in the room, the living room, the room of life, of the psyche or of the self, and we're seated there expectantly, you know, waiting for something to happen, you know. And then behind me and on the ceiling, so it's at the back of our heads in the unconscious sphere, and it's the upper masculine region. So we're in the upper heavens, the upper realms, kind of a logos area. And this is important because where do the projections come from? You know, so there was a face that was created by dozens of candles, and the mouth was an actual candle. So the lights from below, the lights from the depths, they project a countenance, a differentiated consciousness, okay? In the depths, unformulated. If you ever watched Grand Budapest Hotel, you know, Monsieur Gustave would say the inchoate, the unformed, unconscious, there's no face. But when it's differentiated and projected upwards, the face is the countenance. It is a formed consciousness, okay? And it was created by dozens of candles, and the mouth was an actual candle. So the lights from below project the countenance, a form of consciousness from below onto the upper realms, from the depths to the upper regions. And so there is a consciousness. The consciousness from above is it comes from the lights below. Okay, Roy's here. Just get started here a little bit. Whoops, I got something weird in my papers here. It's my earplugs. Okay. Hi, Roy. How's it going? You and I are the one that isn't suffering.
Yeah.
Charles was telling me the only thing worse than being sick is being sick when it's 20 below zero.
God, yeah.
You know, we go back Thursday, but I think it's going to warm up. Hi, Tim. How you doing? We're just going through Charles' dream again, and then I thought we'd do Roy's dream because, you know, it's just a couple days chance.
Terrific.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
You're surviving a little bit, or?
Yes, My hot water is frozen, but
Oh, no.
I still have cold water, so that's good.
Yeah, my wife just talked to her sister who lives, our daughter, who lives in Minneapolis. And they're, since their car has an auto start, it's out. Um, her, her Peloton broke. The face on her iWatch broke. And right where they're talking, her grandson dropped the iPad and broke the frame on that too. So
Oh man.
it's all good. That's what I always tell my cousin in Norway after we talk about a bunch of crap like that. And it's all good. Well, anyway, we're discussing Roy's dream here, and I mean, not Roy, but Charles's dream, and we'll go to Roy's dream. But you know, we started on it last time, so we have some familiarity with it. But anyway, I think I've got a little more handle on both of them. Okay. So anyway, it starts out that we're sitting on a couch in the living room of the unknown house. The living room, sort of the room of life in the house of the self. And we're sitting there expectantly waiting for something. Then behind our head and on the ceiling is, so it's in this unconscious sphere behind us and above us. So it's kind of in the logos realm, but is a countenance, a face that's created by the lights from below. The lights from below project onto the logos realm, and they create a pattern or an image. And yet the word of the pattern or image, the meaning of the pattern or image, comes from the logos itself, the word, because it has its own candle, you know, so at the mouth. Okay. And so the countenance or the face is a differentiated entity of consciousness. You know, it's a pattern. A face is a pattern, and it also represents consciousness. You know, it's always funny. There used to be this horror film where there was this people who lived in a well and they had no face, you know, and it's just very frightening, you know. But when there's a face there, it is a form. The consciousness is formed. Okay, and now the ego, the dream ego, is speaking to a man who had arranged the candles. So he had arranged the lights from below into a form so that they would project on the upper realms and form a consciousness, an image, but the upper realms are going to provide the word because there's a candle at the mouth. And so this figure is familiar with the upper and the lower realm. So he's Hermes, you know, he's a messenger from above and below. He connects the upper and the lower, you know, so he's in both of them. So he's a hermetic figure anyway. And now, as a hint that this is a deity, he when we're talking to him, he won't look at us. You know, I mean, there's no eye contact, so he's separated from us to some extent. You know, he's responsible for the structure, for forming the structure of the lights of consciousness, or the lights from the depths, forming them in a pattern that will project an image on the upper realms, which then has its own voice, you know. And he is, we are not, we are distant from him. We remain the ego consciousness remains distant from him, doesn't establish an intimate relationship. Now, then we look to the left, and here are similar lights, okay? These are similar lights, and yet they're not, now they are either just free and independent, or perhaps under the control of the ego. In either case, they're not going to establish this divine connection that that other figure created. So now we're looking at some of the raw material here and finding out the ego is so incapable here. In fact, the only thing the ego is capable of doing it by itself with these lights of the unconscious is to snuff them out. That's the only thing it can do. And of course, it is what ego's great at, is to discount and to ignore the lights from the depths. And it can do it easily. In fact, too easily, you know. And then after we've done this, the depths don't seem to be done with us, you know. I mean, at that point, a feminine presence. Now, the fact that these are somewhat lesser lights means that the ego is not really a very good conduit for these. You know, they're almost unseen. They are so faint, you know, and yet the feminine consciousness comes to our left hand. That's the hand that is active, the active principle in the unconscious, and it says, and of course this is an ambiguous statement, you know. See, ego does not understand what these lights are and what their importance is, and with its random willfulness, it snuffs out the consciousness from the depths completely. And then the feminine aspect approaches the active principle with the unconscious, the left hand, and she says, "Oh, what a fine specimen." What a fine specimen of what? What is this a fine specimen of, you know? Is it a fine specimen of the vessel of the depths? Is it a fine specimen of a human being? Is a fine specimen of the conduit for dreams, of the medium of expression for dreams? Why would the unconscious think this is a fine specimen? A fine specimen of what? You know, and but then it says that he is incredible. Well, incredible can mean that he's in some way remarkable, but the word itself means not believable, you know, not credible, you know. And so anyway, incredible is also a somewhat ambiguous term. It usually means positive, but it also can mean not believable. Now, okay, now after this event has occurred, and it is really the catalyst for the event, a stream of energy forms in orbit around the head, okay? This is because of this interaction with the feminine figure at the left hand. Because of her interaction and her opinion that we're a fine specimen, there is now an energy that's orbiting ego awareness, okay? When it orbits ego awareness, it awakens the image-making properties that the unconscious possesses itself within ego awareness. So suddenly ego awareness suddenly has the image-making properties that the unconscious has. So first, what did it do with the light of the depths? It snuffed them out. Now, secondly, the feminine has given us temporarily the power of image creation. But what do we create? Do we recreate some transforming symbol? No, we recreate something that only is feeds ego, a sugary, non-nutritious thing, you know, and strange things happen. The ego has the power of image creation, yet it doesn't put it to good use for its intended purpose, which is to create the transcendent function. it uses it only for self-gratification of ego's sugary appetite, you know, and then what forms is a smirk. Well, the smirk is the impish expression of forces opposed to transformation. That would include the elfin world. You know, I think a smirk means that we are going to upset the plans of the established order. The established order rarely has a smirk. Who has a smirk? It's the trickster, the one that's going to upset the order, the established order. And and then we think of Shaquille O'Neal. Well, this is sort of the shadowy smirk. You know, this represents a shadow smirk within us. And so we're sort of linking with the shadow. But in any case, when the image creation comes from the interaction with the feminine, we get this orbit around our head, and that initiates image creation like the dream maker can do, yet it's only used for self-gratification. And then a smirk forms because, you know, this smart ass ego is feeling pretty proud of itself that it could create an image, but it's going to use it only for itself, you know. And I'm not sure how Shaquille O'Neal is linked to that. We'd have to talk more with Charles about that. So the first part, ego becomes aware of the way of connecting the upper and the lower worlds. It actually witnesses it. You know, this reminded me of Dawn's dream, where she saw the rocket, how it goes up out of the pit, you know, the lidded pit. But the second part's also like Dawn's dream. The ego has no way of itself to accomplish such magic. The only thing it can do with its willfulness is to snuff out such lights. Now, the feminine is the rescuer or the redeemer. She can transcend this ego realm, and gives us temporarily the power of activating the image-making thing. So she's putting the lights that we just snuffed out into our head. Say, okay, you don't like them down here. How about if I put them into your head? And what does it do with them? It just creates this sugar. It just feeds its sugary appetite. And so then ego has no idea how to use the transcendent function and uses it only for its self-gratification. Anyway, that was what I came up with. Roy, what do you think? I had all day to do it, so sorry.
Oh boy, I'm still with this this Charles impish thing. Did you do a drawing of this one, Charles?
No, I have not.
He hasn't been feeling very well.
I was thinking, I
really
like
sick.
that. I like the image of the train going around your head. That's a cool image. Yeah, the impish world is very seductive, and especially towards younger people. And there's a lot of creativity there. And that has an upside too. And that just seems like where Charles is right now. And if he can produce something with it, you know, like his drawings, I don't think it's harmful. He's got plenty of time to cross that border and to go into the other side. And life is probably pushing him that way. But I'm sticking with his impish images in his drawings.
Yeah, that is, you know, I always notice later when I listen to what you and Tim say, I always hear things I didn't, so I'm trying to listen a little better. Tim, you always seem to, I think you would be a good analyst, Tim. What do you think?
Well, I'm kind of lost on this one, and I just wonder if it's maybe if the dynamics of it just isn't quite developed yet. Because, I keep thinking about it and I can't come out with anything. I agree with Roy that the train going around the head is a pretty fascinating image. And I keep looking at like the light of all these candles and the breath and the sort of army of little figures and this little feminine figure. And it's just doesn't make any sense to me. So I can't be of much help.
Well,
I'd be a terrible analyst.
no, that's okay. I mean, I think this is when we'd want the next dream to come, but I would say that it kind of reminds me of this is, first of all, I don't think there's too much mistake in the first part of the dream, is that the lights of the lower realms light the upper realms, and then the upper realms provide the word of meaning. And I think that is where it is something that Charles needs, is he needs a pattern in the upper realms, in the realms of the father realms, the father world. He needs a pattern there, and he needs the word of meaning from the upper realms, from the father, the realm of the fathers, you could call it. And but this light comes from the lower realms. Okay, so that's the one sort of a fixed point we have in that dream, this dream, I'm thinking. But then to go to Tim's point, where it seems there like it's a little unformed. Now remember not Tim's, but Charles' dream of the 3-year-old who has almost the plastic doll baby, and there has been many dreams of profound wholeness, which are counterpoised with sort of an inability at this point, and I think Charles mentioned this Sunday, we're a little too early or something for maybe these images of wholeness, but I think Roy is thinking that's not necessarily true, at least if you draw something of the dream. But the second part of the dream is saying that ego is not really ready for it. The only thing ego can do is snuff out the lights. That's all it could, because we can way too easily snuff out these lights. And then it says, well, let's say you had the image creation in the ego. You're snuffing the lights out of the unconscious, just so cavalierly, randomly, and for seemingly no reason. Well, let's put those lights in your ego consciousness and see what you do with them. Make a Snickers bar, and it's very sugary. So it's showing right then that the docking bay of the Starship Enterprise is not quite ready to dock with, some kind of a fabulous mothership or something, satellite. But what do you think, Charles? Now, you've heard a few comments, and you had a pretty good handle on it last time.
Yeah, I mean, I still think what I said last time is, relatively what I still believe. I think that, so I can't help but think of the face lit by the candles as some sort of like orienting thing. Makes me think of stars. And I've, for some reason, been really fascinated recently by the idea that you can measure.
You've had dreams like that before. Stars. The ISIS stars form a what was happened in that?
Right. Yeah, it was a constellation of stars turned into the goddess Isis. I've had a good amount of dreams of where really the focus of the dream is in the sky, in space. I had a dream one time where I saw the earth in the sky, and I in the dream was like, ah, yes, this is now proof that dreams happen somewhere other than, you know, where we live. They happen in a different place. And so, but regardless, it makes me think of stars, and the stars are, you know, I think for navigation and for orientation and things like that. And you know, the face does almost seem to be like a sort of like a consciousness like springing out of this, like from below, because I don't know where the candles were. I couldn't determine where they were. Like they would have been right behind me, but the wall was right behind me. It didn't really make sense. They're coming from some unknown, not actually existing physical place. It's almost like a orienting type of way of being, like a face to put on to the world that will,
Like ISIS.
yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's
some
a
sort of
god that-
personage.
yeah, and it speaks with its own flame. Well, now I would say that the correct response to that first part of the dream is what the dream is asking is a correct response to it. But the second and the third part are showing that the dream ego cannot respond correctly to that image. It wouldn't respond very well to the ISIS image, you know. So what would be the correct response? I mean, what I'm saying, that the only way I have of orienting to this realm is the one of utter devotion. I mean, I think the one thing that we can do for this dream is, even if we, you know what James Hillman says, don't worry if you don't understand the dream understands you. You know, I think that the one thing that we could do is there seems to be a certain amount of frivolousness, and I would think that the one thing that we can do that would be very sincere and very genuine, you know, is to prayerfully ask the dream. I mean, you know, we have to read that inner work book by
Robert Johnson.
on how to properly, with genuine devotion, respond to these dreams.
Is that
Because
Robert Johnson?
it's by Robert Johnson. It's called Inner Work.
Yeah, I've read it. It's really good.
Yeah, it's the 4 steps and they really are of great devotion. And I've said to Charles too that I think this, regardless of anything, Charles, when do you start your job?
I was supposed to start today, but this whole blizzard thing kind of happened.
Okay, did they
couldn't really drive? Yeah, I wasn't able to go. I mean, I don't know if they canceled work or not, but my car could not really get any snow.
All right. Well, anyway, I mean, the idea, I think, that the one thing we can offer these dreams, all of us, me included, you know, is just a sense of devotion to them, and in a really a sacred manner, you know, to take them seriously. And I think Robert Johnson will give us a good roadmap for this, you know, to actually take them seriously. And if we just take them seriously, even though that they seem a little obscure right now, they will respond somehow, you know. And I think that we saw in both your first ISIS vision and in the first part of this dream what the depths are asking us to unite with. And yet the second half of these dreams are just sort of our fumbling ego is incapable of or not up to the task or something. you know. But I think one of the acts of devotion would be what Roy suggested, would be just to draw the dream, and then let's discuss the drawing, okay? And that will be a genuine response to the dream. And I think that's what the dream is saying is lacking, is for the ego's capability of genuinely responding to the profound images that they send to us, that right now we're just too fumbly, you know. But I think the way to become less fumbly, let's draw the image. Let's also see, let's try to instill some of the principles of Robert Johnson in this, because they are full of the sacred, you know. And this stuff we're doing is no joke, I don't think. And it's, I think we've seen this particularly beautifully in Tim's dream series, that it's going somewhere, you know, it's leading somewhere, you know. And we just have to, how does ego become the vessel and the conduit for the development of this myth in our awareness? I mean, what I see in Tim's dreams is the development of a myth in not only his awareness, but our awareness. Now, how does it really become our myth? And how do we make it? This is our religion. And what does religion mean? Remember, it means ligature means the rope that connects two things, or the ligament that connects bones. So it can, and the yoga means to yoke two things together. They're the same word. And what it's yoking together is ego awareness and the depths, you know. And so the myth is that link, connecting link. So I would say that that's what I see in the dream, is that the ego needs to find some way of genuinely responding to these images, because its current ability to respond is either to snuff it out, or that's what it does best. But then I really think the feminine's playing a trick on us. She says, "Hey, you can snuff it out. I'll put it in your head. Here it is. You don't like it from the unconscious? I'm putting the unconscious in your head. Now let's see how you deal with it now." And so it creates a Snickers bar. You know?
Yeah, well, I think this is, and I know a lot of my dream or conclusions and dreams starting to be a sort of wordplay, but you know, like it literally goes to my head. Like she gives me this compliment, and it literally goes to my head.
That could
And,
be. It goes to your head.
And it's just such a poor like representation of the feminine. It's just a little paperclip creature, and it's not like
The voice is more important. The voice is almost more important than the form. I mean, a lot of the feminine images that we've seen in your dream have been
strange,
voice oriented. You know, the star-shaped raccoon baby, the hamsters, you know, some other ones, you know, that are not fully differentiated, you know. And the strange connection of the hamster with the earth and with the water and the aquariums, you know. But I do think if you could draw it, let's discuss the drawing, and it might flesh it out a little bit more. But I think I've kind of got a handle on it myself, is that there needs to be a genuine response to the constellation that comes from the depths. And there isn't one right now. You know, it's not able to, there does not seem the ability to respond appropriately to those images. But I think Roy's suggestion is the best one I know. I mean, that was my suggestion before Roy's, was to be in utter devotion and service to this dream, not every dream, this dream. And then once we've fully served it, then do the same thing for the next dream. I think you'll find that that's what Robert Johnson does too. But we'll go through that. I think it's going to be a great help for what we're doing here. But anyway, I thought we'd go through Roy's dream, and then if either Tim or Dawn have a dream, they can, depending on how much time we have left, we can just introduce it at least. Go ahead, Roy. And Roy, by the way, just speak up because I hardly ever catch your.
Okay. I just want to make one point. I'm not really talking about the art and sense of getting it down to understand your dream. I'm talking about, I don't think people realize how rare creativity is, how to have affectivity in your drawing. Okay, I can do this drawing out of my head in 1 or 2 hours. That not everybody has that. And as you get older, you could lose that. You won't get it back. You know, there's 2 things going on. One thing is the images in the dream. It's just a process. It goes on in the background whether we're aware of it or not. And then it's our interpretation of the process. They're 2 different things. And I think as soon as you start interpreting the process, you lose it. You lose the energy. You know, you lose the image. You're in another world. This process is going on whether you're aware of it or not. The point I'm trying to make is Charles is able to draw something. He has a little spark of creativity. I don't want that snuffed out. I don't care if it's an ego consciousness or what it is. It doesn't matter. It's a very sacred thing.
I think we're going to see both of these, the creativity and the last part that Roy was talking about was that what you lose, what is just contained in the images and is lost in words beautifully in Roy's dream. And I just want to go through it because I went through it very slowly and tried to do it very seriously. I just thought it was very profound. Okay. Let me just go through some of the notes I made and see what you guys think. You know, I put it in the chat, but first of all, ego's working on kind of the messenger portal. You know, it's sort of near the portal of messages, you know, the computer. And suddenly, the artist within us appears. Now, this is an artist that we know of, but it's far away from us, you know, so we don't expect it to come. But ego is aware of it, but it's very remote from ego, you know. And so when it makes its unexpected visitation in the realm of what it was heretofore was a more remote energy, and it suddenly has become very close and manifest. And so something was awakened in us, and this remote energy, this remote creative artistic energy in us suddenly manifests in ourselves. Yet it seems still remote when it's here. It doesn't seem to hear what we say, you know. And then we ask this energy why it appeared, and ego seems to be resistant and suspicious of it. But something awakened in us that caused it to appear, you know. And the ego is initially resistant of it since it appeared so suddenly and unexpectedly. So then it seems unwelcome, so it disappears into the darkness. It regresses, you know, it goes back in, and through a kind of almost a reverse fire, it turns into a more primitive and less differentiated energy, which is all perhaps ego can handle right now, or wants to handle, or something. And the feminine is there at the same time, and they both witness the energy, this creative formation, which is rejected by consciousness, just merges back into the unconscious through sort of this magical reverse transformation in the darkness under a blanket. Okay. Now, this is almost going to be repeated at the end of the dream when the black and gold fish falls in. Hi, Ivan. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Great. We're just going over a dream with Roy. Let me put it back in the chat here again.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Because it's a pretty good dream, and we just got started on it. All right. Let me see here. So, how's it? Is it cold in Colorado?
It's very cold.
Yeah. Well, I think Roy and I are the only ones that are in 80-degree temperature. We're going back into it though on Thursday, so. All right. I don't know. Don, where are you from? I'm not sure where you're from. You can put it in the chat. I don't know. Okay, that's Roy's dream. And we're just talking about the first part where the artistic side or some creative energy within Roy makes an unexpected appearance. And it seems somewhat unwelcome in ego consciousness at this point, this energy, but somehow it was awakened in us. But it was okay when it was more remote and removed from us. But when it became manifest closer to ego consciousness says, I know this is messing up ego consciousness. It can't be here. And then it goes into kind of a magical vessel of transformation. Fire appears, it regresses into the form of a lizard and slithers back into the unconscious. And we are going to see too that this event is almost exactly repeated at the end, but with a different, more positive aspect, okay? And so that's the first part of the dream, okay? And so there isn't any more about that part of the dream, but it's always remember from this, that. So now we shift to what I'm always talking mythological language. We shift to the dwelling place of sojourners, the place of the travelers, and we must organize this room that we've leased there. Why? Well, it's because the ancestors and the generators of our existence are expected. It's known that the ancestral world is approaching, the knowledge of the past and the generating force of our existence is coming. So ego needs to organize itself a little bit to accommodate them. Okay, now, yet we discover these two ancient conduit boxes of energy, a pair of boxes that conduct energy. You know what Parsifal's wife was named? Conduiramor. She's the conduit of love. Well, we found two conduiers here of some other kind of energy, not love, but they're a pair of them. But they seem very old and possibly, at least they're very ancient. And so here in this neutral place where the forces of the past are trying to establish a connection, a pair of conduits of energy that really are connecting the inner and outer world have appeared, and they may but like with the artist, we resist this connection. So we don't like this connection either. The ego consciousness doesn't. This connection between the invisible realm and the outer realm, maybe because it's too old or something. So we are going to discard them, but we seem to walk into the wrong room. We're going to discard them like we did with the artistic energy that appeared, went under the blankets. We need to throw this back into the unconscious too. So actually there's three things we want to throw into the unconscious. You know, the artistic energy, the conduits to the inner and outer world. But we walk into the realm of arch-ego, the realm of the persona, the clothing store. You know, well, this is not really a very welcome place for the connecting energy between the upper and lower worlds, you know. And it's one of a very refined modern persona. So we're not welcome there either. And it's a highly inappropriate place for these old relics of the conduit. So now as we leave, suddenly we encounter, not me, but we're encountering another conduit, but this one is less mechanical, more human. So it's just a conduit, you know, and we want to tell, we have something vital to tell it, something important to our being, but it seems to be on an important errand and just wanders away. Well, we wonder where it went, and we find it. It is went up into the upper realms of the Watchtower, and it's in a very beautiful place. It is sitting in the Watchtower, overlooking the stream of life, the winding stream of the unconscious, and we can see down there many figures trying to pull contents out of this stream, you know, and this non-mechanical conduit is sitting in the Watchtower, overlooking this realm, and it is speaking to a faraway presence on a long-distance phone call. So it's speaking to a presence that's very far away, very far removed from this realm. And everything around it is transparent and open, you know. And the call seems to concern the radiance of life in its most core form, the snake, the iridescent, the spiritual aspect. The snake sort of represents the spinal column, but it represents life itself and the wisdom of life itself. And it's radiant with blue spirit. And it seems to be, and it's sitting on a transparent altar, you know. And it seems that the conduit is conducting energy. The conduit is conducting energy. It's talking to a faraway presence. Who? It's pretty mysterious, whoever it's talking to, because it's long distance phone call, you know, a foreign realm, you know. And then we notice this whole place seems to be the place of clarity. Everything is transparent. And in front of this desk is a transparent aquarium. Okay. So now this is what reminded me of what Charles said at the end of Roy said at the end of Charles, that words can disrupt the beauty of the image of his dream. Okay. Look what we have here. We have this stream of life flowing. We have the fisherman trying to connect or to pull things out of the stream. We have this conduit speaking with the foreign realm, faraway realm, stimulated by the blue iridescent spirit of the life force. And in front of
up there, Craig.
What's that?
Yeah, you're breaking up real bad.
Yeah, I am sorry. I just said, can you hear me now? Oh, wait a second. Let me, can you hear me now or not? Let me see.
Is he back? Okay, there we go. There you go. You're muted right now, Craig. I wonder if I can make you the host.
It's the hotel internet. I was
Right.
trying to connect on my,
I was just asking how you derived that the electrical boxes were antique.
the electrical box is what now?
You said something about them being antique.
Well, they were very old. Isn't that what you said, Roy? Maybe I was,
It says in the dream, it's in print, old electrical boxes.
yeah. So they're very ancient, not modern, somewhat, they're not appealing to ego consciousness. They're a little bit long in the tooth,
I was embarrassed for my parents to see them. I
Yes.
wanted to hide them for the visit.
Yeah. The ancestral world is coming, the generators of our existence. These boxes are embarrassing.
I love my old electric boxes. I do.
Yes. Yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, they're very closely related to this figure who sits. Now, I just thought this was so beautiful. And at the end of Charles' dream, Roy mentions that the beauty of Charles' dream cannot be disturbed by lots of words. Okay. Well, look at what we got here. We've got this more human conduit figure who's connecting long distance phone call with some faraway presence that's in a foreign realm. They seem to be discussing the iridescent blue spirit that sits on the transparent altar. This whole place seems to be the altar of clarity. And in front is another clear pool, aquarium, which now Roy fishes out of. Okay. Now, Roy draws out the pair of opposites, the clownfish that's black and white. Okay. And he gets it up. And once he removes ego's connection with it, what happens to it? The lizard slithered back into the unconscious. We want to discard. What did you really want to do? You just don't want your parents to see the conduit boxes. Yeah. In other words, they need to be put out of sight somewhere. So, and then now we bring the treasure hard to attain out of the pool of clarity. Now, so it's just so beautiful. You've got this old electrical box, which is now more human, and it is connecting with it's doing what it's supposed to do, conduct energy. And the energy that's being conducted is the life force itself, And I think this is also related to the lizard and the creative aspect that the ego thought was a little bit safer far away than it is up close to ego. We're okay with it when it's far away, but when it comes to ego, it's right in its ego's house. It's not understood, at least, at that, why are you here? Why are you here? So then it takes the snake form and slithers away. But now here we see the blue iridescent snake form, which seems to, cause the conduit box to transfer energy. It's vital that we transfer energy now, because here the iridescent spiritual aspect of the generator of life is here on the altar of clarity, the transparent table. And then we bring from the transparent clarity of the pool, we bring forth the treasure hard to attain, the clownfish that contains the opposites. Yet ego wants to remove its hook from it. And as soon as ego's hook is removed from it, it wants it to go back into the pool of clarity. Ego wants to put it back in that pool. but it falls down into the great depths, not just our pool of clarity, but back into the collective unconscious. Now, this was my little take on it. It just seems so profound to me, but I'm sure that, let's hear what other comments. Charles, what do you think? I'm sorry
Well,
to screwed up.
I don't know. There's a lot to it, and from my perspective, there's a lot to it. And just focusing on the second part alone, there's a lot to it. And what it, you know, I really want to know what it means that, you know, you're in this, you know, hotel, and the parents are going to be coming. I don't know. This is one of these dreams that I feel like I have to look at it as a whole, but there's so many parts to it, and just like there's a lot of movement from one thing to the other, and I don't know. Like when I first heard this, I know that I was going to struggle with this one, but
Well, I think it's 3 discardings of something, you know, and
yeah,
yeah.
something's sort
in
of
each case, something needs to be hidden or discarded, you know, except in the last case, it seems something slips through our hands.
right. And these electric boxes, you know, it's almost like they need to go back into the unconscious or something. They can't be brought into, like, they can't be disposed of in the kind of persona fashioning
No.
environment. That's not the right.
Well, something that
for
connects the upper and the lower worlds is not welcome in the ego realm.
And also, you know, they're like kind of archaic, old electric boxes, and you know, also you're dealing with like the parents, so it's like a earlier, previous generation, and you know, there's this modern clothing store. It's, you know, and well, it makes me think. I wonder, you know, if that's the case in this dream, you know, I wonder what Roy like, you know, within his life. I'm curious as to like when and where and how did he walk into this area, trying to get rid of these things. And I don't know. I need time on this one for sure. You know.
What could you provide any clarity, Roy, and then we'll go on to Tim and Ivan.
Okay, yeah, I was looking at the dream in the context. You know, I was very disturbed by Tim's dream. I go to sleep Monday night, it's on my mind. And I pass out, I'm asleep, and I have this dream. Now, that is true, that this thing was liberated. It was an artist and it was liberated. I didn't really have that much to do it. It's just me being there. It went through this transformation and scurried away on its own willpower. I liberated it out of a box or out of something. I felt like it was stuck. Just my presence liberated this entity. And then I in the second dream, I felt like those old electric boxes were transformers. I can transform. Not that I'm trying to transform. It's just, you know, like the Polly effect or something. It just happens around me. And maybe that's what I wanted to show Craig. And I didn't want my parents to see it because it's disturbing. I didn't want this room of personas to see it because it's a disturbing thing. It's like a Polly effect. It's very disturbing. They won't even let Polly in the lab. I finally find Craig, and then this transformation starts over again. I catch this fish, and I didn't throw it over in the river. I was trying to be courteous to Craig, and before my eyes, it flopped over there itself. It went through this sort of rite of passages and freed itself into the greater unconscious. You know, so that's how I was. It was a great relief to me. These dreams were a great relief. It just resolved a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, that's important to know. Tim, what do you think?
Well, I find myself on the second listening to it, focusing for some reason on the movement. So, you know, you start out in this hotel room, which even though it's not your home, it's your home base in this place. And then you move from one room to another, and then out into the hallway, and then begin this search that takes you way up in several floors into the stratosphere. And in the midst of all these other unfoldings, you end up climbing on top of the table. And so for me, I keep thinking about is it that you have become so inflated, or is it that you're engaging some kind of a spiritual energy that allows you to see into the depths? Because the movement is going in two directions at once. So the higher you go, the more the fish and the energy of the snake become available, it seems to me. And I'm just still trying to figure out what all that is about. But I just wanted to point out that movement, and I think that might have some kind of significance. Oh, and incidentally, I've got to go here.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you,
So-
Tim. If you have a dream, just email it to us. And
Okay,
Ivan, if you have a dream too, you can, want to hear from you now. Thank you, Tim.
yeah, I'm sorry I got to go, but
Okay. All right.
appreciate
Well, get us a dream and we'll start working on it.
all right, take care.
Okay. We'll meet next Thursday too, if anybody doesn't mind. Because
That's
I'm going
fine
to be
with me.
gone Wednesday. So either Thursday or Friday.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tim. Ivan, do you have any thoughts on it, the dream?
It's too bad Tim had to go because I was actually thinking it reminds me of a dream Tim shared. I don't recall the specifics of it, but there was something to do with lizards that were chasing him and going up his arm.
Yes.
There was a fire, like an ancestral fire of some sort, that was transformative. The lizards in his dream remind me of the lizard in this dream, especially with Tim being in the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. If you want.
Oh, and I was just also wondering, so it seems like there's multiple symbols of transformation here. What's interesting to me is Roy, why did you want to show the electrical boxes to Craig?
I was trying to explain a new concept to him, but I wasn't able to reach him.
What do you think of the relationship of the entity that supposedly represented by me talks on long distance phone call and the conduit box? I mean, aren't they doing the same thing?
No, I look at it as you're distracted.
But
It's a
then I'm
distraction.
talking, yeah, I'm distracted, or I'm not me, but that person is distracted because they have a more important mission. They have to ascend to the watchtower, look over the realm, and be in the presence of the blue iridescent snake. Then they make a long distance phone call over a wire. you know, where energy goes over a wire. Well, what does the conduit box do?
They weren't present. The conduit box is about transformation.
Yeah, but I mean, aren't they something that transfers energy over wires?
No, they transform everything around them.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway, it's there's some thing happening there that there needs to be a connection between two points. You know,
Uranian energy, Uranian, think Uranus.
yeah, and the stimulant of the need for the connection is the blue iridescent snake, which incidentally, now none of these things can be separated, I think. Incidentally, causes the formation of the transparent pool in front of it, or at least that we notice it. And then also is coincidental with taking the fish that contains the opposites out of the pool of clarity of the unconscious. So I mean, all of these things happen simultaneously. You know, the overlooking. I mean, where does this form of the one who makes the long distance phone calls has to ascend to a high top of a watchtower that overlooks the unconscious and the fishermen there. And because there is a blue iridescent, spiritual iridescent core force of life there, it needs to speak to some presence far away. Why else would it speak to the presence far away?
It was a distraction. It didn't want to speak. It didn't want to be present. It didn't want to be in the moment.
Well, it could be. Now, if every section of this dream is a release, what the first section could represent is the shadow is transformed into a more instinctive force. Okay. In the second case, that we are ashamed by the collective world, which would be either the appearance or the persona world of the clothing store, to see our transforming aspects, which is the conduit boxes. Our dream ego needs to hide the fact that we want transformation with the unconscious from the outer collective world, which is represented by the world of the parents and the world of the persona. Okay, we're ashamed of the work, or we just know that those two worlds won't understand it. Okay, now we want to show the transforming aspect to what now this figure that that has got my face and name. What role does it have in the dream? I mean, what is its role?
It was a very important figure to me. I had a message for it, and it was a very important figure to me. I was trying to communicate to it.
If it had it?
It would get some insight.
Okay. But it seems to be confiding in a source far away,
That's what it was doing, but
right.
Here it's just Parsifal up on the balcony, dumb, trying to tell you something, and you aren't interested.
Okay, now, were any of your questions answered by viewing the blue iridescent snake and taking the fish out of the transparent pool? I mean, was the answer being given to you, but not overtly?
To me, the snake represented a transforming symbol. We both saw it.
Did it have anything to do with?
It's like Jung says, be quiet. A mouse is in the house.
Right.
A mouse is in the house, but who's listening?
So don't you, I'm just saying that you were going to talk to some figure who could possibly give you insight about that thing that you need to hide from the collective world. Okay. It seems to be distracted and in a hurry to ascend to the top of a watchtower where your answer awaits. Correct or not correct? I mean,
Well, I got my answer,
right.
but it
your
was from
answer
the
is-
dream. It was from the dream.
Yeah, but I mean, the answer came to you had a question. The answer came, but not the insight did not come from any one person, but from an image in the dream.
Mhm.
You know, so in other words, this figure in the dream was not adequate to answer that question.
Mhm.
The only thing that was competent to answer it was the image of the iridescent fish, and then sort of the ritual act of pulling the fish of the black and white opposites out of the pool of clarity. And then there's the wonderful image. I mean, it might seem a little tragic, but that we're going to put it back in the pool, the little pool of our unconscious, but it goes into the greater stream of life, you know. So
Just like the lizard did. The lizard did the same thing. It
Yeah.
freed itself.
let's just say this, our treasure hard to attain is now connected with the great stream of life,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
So you see this dream to me, I mean, it seemed very profound to me. But
Mhm.
just to kind of review it to one more time, is the start of the dream is the it might possibly be the shadow figure has assumed a more instinctive role, and now we are that's a relief to us. So actually, it wasn't a regression; it was it was taking what was all kind of a little bit too, you know, non-genuine and making it absolutely instinctive. And then it goes back into the unconscious. Then we're ashamed of our transforming mechanisms, that the outer world will judge us for them. We want some insight from someone who might be able to give it to us. They don't seem adequate to give it to us, but through following them, an image is created that answers our question. Then we draw out the treasure hard to attain out of the pool of clarity, and when ego's hook is removed from it, our treasure hard to attain then falls into the greater stream of life, and not the pool of just our ordinary unconscious. So that's a pretty good start, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, what do you have any comments on that, Roy? Or
Well, it's like the dream maker. It is like a process or a field it was here before people, it would be here after people. It's a program running that we don't notice unless we're passed out dreaming or something, or have some kind of breaks into our ego consciousness temporarily. We have a little fantasy or whatever. It's going on all the time. And so I was passed out. I have this dream. It's the process going on. It resolved whatever the other world is. I'm trying to interpret it. I'm frustrated. I'm trying to understand something. That's the other world. That's the world that we're stuck in all the time. These two worlds. And because I'm able to just relax and say, okay, I trust the dream maker. This process is going on. Don't worry about it. It will resolve itself. It just gave me a great peace of mind. Do I understand it? No. I just feel that it was resolved.
it was resolved beautifully, I think, at the end. I mean, that whole scene is, I'll never forget it. You know, the looking over the watchtower, the long distance phone call, the blue iridescent snake, the pool and alder of clarity, and the fisherman below. It's just absolutely beautiful. Well, Roy, Ivan, did you have a dream that you want to discuss?
I have some dreams. They've all been weird.
Yeah, well, why don't you just take one? And one thing I think we can do, Ivan, too, if you keep sending us dreams, we can at least discuss them on the email if you're, let's talk about, pull up a dream, and if we don't get it done today and you're not here Thursday, we'll keep working on it. But I think you gave us one a while ago and then I lost it. So just get this dream. But I want to finish your dreams because they're the best. You're the best dreamer. You're very good.
All right. Well, so I have one that was pretty good, but it's long, so maybe it's not the best for today.
Oh, okay. Well, you can email it to me. What do you have a shorter one or?
Yeah, I have two shorter ones. I have one that's written out and one that isn't. So the one this is why I haven't shared it in a while. So the one that I have written out is like a fragment of a dream. It was really interesting, but I couldn't remember the entirety of it.
Let's hear it. But send me the longer one too, and
sure.
we'll start going on it because Roy's and Charles were hard, I thought, but I think we got a little wear with them. Yeah, we'll send it to you too, Dawn. Yes, definitely. So go ahead, Ivan.
Yeah, I'm just grabbing it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm in some virtual reality environment. There's a man who otherwise was emotionless, but has figured out that by putting himself in extremely dangerous and terrifying situations, he feels extreme joy afterwards. Like it's like life-threatening, almost death sort of situations, and then it's like this great joy, right? When he feels this extreme joy, he secretes an acid all over himself, which damages his skin. There's a group of people who follow this man. They are known as screamers. They all look like ragged zombies or meth addicts who lumber around terrorizing people. So then it kind of cuts into a scene, and I kind of wrote that wrong, but there's just like a trailer, and there's a man and his boy, and they're watching this person on TV.
Okay.
And so I know there's more to the stream than that, but that's what I could remember.
Okay, now you are in a trailer. Could you?
I'm in a trailer, but I don't think it was actually me. It was just a man and a boy.
The man and the boy are in a trailer.
Yeah, it seems like a father's son or something. Like they're watching this.
And the boy, man and the boy see this man on a small TV. So okay. So what is happening is suddenly you see them somebody is watching them from another place. So it's sort of generally known about this story. Okay, so first of all, the dream is in a virtual reality environment. So we're in we're sort of in a lucid dream, sort of one of these modern electronic lucid dreams, artificial intelligence or whatever. It's sort of like the holodeck or whatever, and then there is a man who is otherwise, this is beautiful. There's a man who otherwise was emotionless, but had figured out, so he's emotionless. He needs to cure the fact that he has no emotional energy. How does he cure it out? Figure it, or heal it? He has figured out by putting himself in extremely dangerous and terrifying situations, he creates emotion.
Right. I would actually amend that. I think I could have described it better as near-death situations.
Okay, a near-death situation. Winston Churchill said about World War I, he fought in the trenches in Gallipoli or wherever it was. There's nothing more exhilarating than being shot at with no result, So, I mean, there's nothing more exhilarating than having someone shoot to kill you and miss, So there's a man who otherwise was motionless, but had figured out that by putting himself in extremely dangerous, near-death situations, he felt extreme joy afterwards. He realized he was really alive. See, before in the emotionless state, he doesn't know he's alive. The only way that he can make himself feel alive is to come very close to death, because then he knows what it means to be alive, you know, for the first time. You know, this is a very big awakening. Okay. Now, when he feels this extreme joy, he secretes an acid all over himself, which damages his skin. So, in other words, the act of this near death is, you know, it's sort of like, I'm just saying that it's kind of like a drug that he's taking, you know, and it has a side effect. Okay, and the side effect is that it damages the organ that that contains the body. Okay, the organ that contains the body, the skin, is damaged by a corrosive um, excretion from experiencing this extreme joy of near death. Okay, like if you experience a near death, let's say you did die almost, and you come back to life, there might be a few side effects. You know, I know my one of my relatives has Meniere's disease, and when they ever experience extreme emotions, there's side effects to that. You know, but okay, so anyone and we need to figure out what it means to have our skin damaged by corrosion, and why this would follow the experience, the near-death experience, and the extreme joy that comes from it. And both of these are the answer to our unbelievable apathy that we have otherwise. Unbelievable apathy, near-death experience, extreme joy, then we sweat acid at that point. Okay, now there's a group of people who are followers of this man, and they are known as the Screamers. They all look like rabid zombie meth addicts who lumber around terrorizing people. Well, you know, if this guy almost, now how this is relating to the Dream Ego, it's going to be interesting. But the guy is this emotionless person who's has these people known as the Screamers, and they all look like ragged zombies. So they're the groupies of the almost emotionless person who needs to you know, almost be put in these terrifying situations in order to wake himself up. Oh boy. This is kind of a commentary on our own libido, you know, but it's we're going to have to get to it. I think I'm going to have to think about it a little bit. But now, then we see in a trailer, a man and boy are watching a small TV. So we're in a virtual reality environment, and then we see this little drama play out. And then now, when you see the man and the boy on watching small TV, is that still in the virtual reality environment, you think?
Yeah, it's just like they've been watching some thing on like a small TV about these screamers. But so actually, as we were sitting here talking, this has been helpful because I just remembered more of the dream. I'm gonna paste it in here.
All right, sure.
So what I remember is they're in this trailer and they're arming themselves with like rifles or shotguns, and they need to travel somewhere, but they're expecting they're going to encounter these screamers.
Okay, so what we're really talking about here, I think, and we're going to have to think about it, and I really do need to ponder this a little bit and incubate it, but is is our own libidinal aspect, our own life force, our own energy, our relationship to the shadow, our relationship to the unconscious. What do you think, Roy? Do you have any insights at this point?
Yeah, to me, I'm getting this alter ego character that pops up in Ivan's dreams. I call him Eligua. He's a real wild man. He has the life force. Ivan can't reach him. It's kind of like, you know, protector persecutor archetype again here. He doesn't want to be traumatized. I mean, it would be very traumatic for him to connect with this character. But he's there.
Yeah, that. How about you, Charles? You always. This seems like a dream kind of up your alley. You have any comments?
This kind of seems like a shadow figure to me. That's what I would call it. And yeah, I mean, most people aren't doing life-risking, daring things in order to get their thrill out of life. And I'm like, I could see my shadow being like that. So I'm somewhat, I mean, I don't really do a whole lot. I'm kind of docile, and I do almost have a impulsive tendency to do things that I know I shouldn't be doing and that could probably be pretty disastrous. I don't really know why I'm doing them. Maybe they do make me feel alive, but the sweat from that feeling being acidic, well, it's corrosive because it's a degenerative kind of way of trying to feel alive. Like eventually, like it's gonna hurt you, just like the acid. And I don't know about the screamers though. That makes me think of like a almost
Do they scream, or they just called the screamers?
So it seemed like in the dream that they were screamers. They screamed sometimes, but they were beyond reason. Like they had done this so much that they no longer had reasoning parts themselves, and they just caused chaos in order to have feelings.
Yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted you, Charles. I just was wondering if they're like.
yeah, no, I mean, I was curious about that too. I was wondering if they literally went around screaming, but
They're like screaming like wild,
Okay.
singing like wild,
I guess this makes me think of like collectively, if what would happen to people if they were to follow this sort of like lifestyle. But I guess, you know, there are people that do like base jumping and skydiving, and they don't seem so corrosive. But I don't know. I don't have any close relationships with those types of people. Yeah, to me, if it were my dream, I would think that it would be a shadow figure, and it would make a lot of sense to me if it were my dream. Yeah, that like Roy said, that's like that's a part of the shadow or a part of whatever force that would be a little bit scary to have come in contact with, but it'd probably be for the best, because otherwise those super daring, like extreme dangerous tendencies are just more uncontrollable and unconscious. So yeah.
Yeah, Roy calls him the alter ego, not the shadow. But
Well, it's the same thing.
yeah,
We'll call him shadow. Fine. Whatever it is, it has an independent life from Ivan.
yeah. You know, when Dawn was mentioning, you know, Charles had a little accident with THC. Yeah, is that what it was, Charles?
Yeah.
And he saw his own energy body, and it was in great pain. And Dawn was just wondering if this had anything to do with the acid. You know, like what if we could see our energy bodies? I mean, the energy body, which is really the soul, and what it connects, how it's feeling right now. You know, is there anything about it that's his energy body seems to be in great pain, you know? But what I think that does anybody, does Roy or Ivan have a comment on that? Just somebody says their energy body sees it and it's in great pain. Go ahead, Roy.
Well, I'm saying that Charles can enact the wild man. Not that he's that conscious of it, but he's able to engage in a dangerous situation.
Mhm.
And yeah, you're going to get acid on you. Yeah, it's very self-destructive. You know, it reminds me of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You know, Charles is able to enact a little bit of this, but I don't think Ivan can. This is life. This is life. You know, we're being played. It's a very difficult, dangerous situation.
You know what I think? I mean, just let's just think about it a little bit, Ivan. I think you know, a lot of people have dreams not about the shadow within them, but about the 2 million-year-old man within them. So in other words, they're dreaming about the aspect of themselves that is the instinctive human, you know, and doesn't have anything to do with the thinking function or anything. This is let's say we were Cro-Magnon man or Neanderthal man. That aspect lives in us, you know, and it's a little bit bored with our you know, this sort of a cerebral existence that we live, you know, and this is not the wild aspect that it was formed for many hundreds of thousands of years. You know, I think also you find this sometimes in Native American tribes, the hunting tribes, you know, when they're put on the reservations and they have only one recourse, alcoholism, you know, because they can't live in these little boxes, you know. So I'm wondering if we were to think of this figure not as the shadow or anything, but as the most instinctive part of our humanity, you know, and it is actually bored stiff with this this sedentary cerebral existence that we're living. You know, it wants to live in the forest. It wants to live in nature. And instead it's forced to live in this other thing. So if it's going to be forced to live in this realm, the only way that it can return to nature is through absolute terrifying thing. Now, I don't know how close this is, but the whole thing seems to be linked to some libidinal and instinctive aspect of energy within us. Is there's some very powerful force within us that is suppressed. You know, what do you think, Ivan? By the way, Ivan, I want to tell you something too. Your dreams are very important, and if you can't be here, you know, on every still send the dreams to us in the email, just to us, our little group, so we can work on them, because I think it's very important. I mean, we find this in with everybody, to have a dream series going. So don't worry that you can't be here, but let's work on the dreams, your dreams anyway, because your dreams particularly, Ivan, I think are very important. But Ivan, what do you think? Is there an aspect in you that is suppressed, that longs for the world of the outdoors or nature, or just feels a little confined?
Oh yeah, definitely so. For sure, especially with you know, recent times.
Yeah, COVID, quarantine, all this other stuff.
But yeah, I have an office job. It's all relatively safe. There isn't like a lot of danger in my life. It doesn't Yeah, and I agree with what you said because it doesn't necessarily seem like specifically a shadow aspect of myself. It feels like a deeper,
Instinctive.
yeah. And so a lot of the dreams I've been having they've had a lot of sex and violence in them, which is
That isn't.
why I felt a little weird sharing them with the group.
No, well, I'm saying that this is not outer realm, outer world. This has happened. It has a symbolic aspect. So we have to kind of defang it from that. What out here would seem inappropriate, here is very appropriate, you know, in this symbolic world. But anyway, why don't you send us the longer dream? We'll work on this dream. Even if you can't come every time, let's still keep working on them because your dreams are very important. And by the way, Dawn, I've been reading through your dreams. They were absolutely fabulous, and we owe you one too. So, Ivan, I'm going to work on this dream, but see if you can get the longer dream in there. And I want to us, and let's work on it. I don't care how long it is. And then, Roy, I want to thank you and Charles for your dreams. They're fabulous. They're great, and I got a lot out of them. But Ivan, I'm going to work on this one as far as the instinctive realm, and then just send us your other dream.
Sure.
And try to stay warm. Our biggest worry was that it was a little windy at the beach, so we had to go sit at the pool, and we got a little sweaty.
Where are you at?
We're in at Armand's Key, St. Armand's Key, or it's near Lido Beach. It's near Sarasota. You know, a little
Jealous. It's free. I haven't even been able to go outside for a while.
kind of nice time to be here. But
Yeah.
anyway, we'll see you all next time, and thank you, everybody. And Thursday about 7. Okay, bye-bye. See you guys
Good
later.
night.
Bye, Dawn.